Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to this week's Unconventional Wisdom on Grief and Loss. This is session 25, week 25. This isn't consecutive since the session 20, but we are calling these sessions as needed. And I can tell you right now, it's very much needed. Very much needed. My name is Delilah De La Rosa. I am the founder of Depth Worldwide, which is putting on this series. To my side here is Steven Morrison. He's the creator of Spiritual Workout, which is the foundation, the basis from which we get all this unconventional wisdom on grief and loss. And he's also the author of An Extra Year, Grief and Loss in the New Age. I left my copy back on the East Coast. But if you've been with us over the past 25 weeks or so, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly what the title says, title and subtitle says, An Extra Year, Grief and Loss in the New Age. Welcome, Steven. How are you?
Thank you. I'm quite well, thank you. I'm glad that we could do this, not exactly when you called, but we're here now.
Yeah, no. As a matter of fact, it was probably good that it didn't happen last week and that it happened this week because lots of stuff came up.
More stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, as usual, just have at it.
Yeah, and also just want to note, I wanted to welcome my mom from, this is like basically why we came up with this series. My mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer back in August of last year. And 2.5 months later, on November 4th, she ended up passing away. And so from there on, it's just been, what this grief and loss experience is bringing up, how I am navigating it and, applying, aligning, living, applying, aligning, living. That's where we are, folks. So welcome to my mom. Welcome to Duder, who is also one of the protagonists of An Extra, one of the subjects of grief and loss. That's Steven's partner, who is very much featured, the basis of that book, An Extra Year. So if you're around here, tuned in, tapped in, welcome. And of course, any and all entities, non-physical entities, welcome.
Who appreciate and like to be part of the project of thinning the veil between physical and not.
Yeah, deeper connection, communication, that great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, the last session that we had was about 2 weeks ago, I believe. And last week I had asked Steven if we could do a session last week on Wednesday because it was the day after my birthday on Tuesday of last week. And, as I've mentioned in previous sessions, I'm very open to the experience. I'm not forecasting, thinking
the experience of processing in general.
Yeah. Like I'm just open to what can come up, what doesn't come. I'm not trying to think like, okay, this is going to be a hard time for me, so I'm going to, I'm leaving it open. And with that said, I also can get a little surprised over what can come up at certain times. Like I'm not expecting, that. And that's where I found myself on my birthday last week. It was a couple of days beforehand. I turned 46, and essentially since the start of my 40s, I thought about this a couple of days before the birthday, how the start of my 40s was really marked by a lot of losses. a lot of shocking losses too.
Mhm.
Losses, right?
Mhm.
Physical losses. And, from the pandemic on, it was like major changes on a worldwide level, in which I knew a couple of close loved ones who passed away from COVID, from other disease, illnesses, accidents, and all of that. And it culminating
Mhm.
with the loss of my mom, which was probably the most shocking of them all. Um, you know, uh, so I thought about that, and I knew that that line of thinking wasn't really uplifting, right? For me, in terms of, um, it kind of opened up the portal to that line of thinking of like, is this what I have to look forward to as I get older? And then it goes into decline, and decline of a lot of things, fun, physical health,
Mhm.
you know um uh decline of family, like loved ones, right? Like it just um opened up that little line of thinking, and I knew it. I was very aware of that,
Mhm.
and so I said to myself, well, what is my intention here? And it's like, I intend to, as I get older, to live a life with much more vitality, enthusiasm, passion, eagerness, fun, in
Mhm.
life,
Mhm.
like where it's like, how can it get any better than this? you
Mhm.
know, um, that I'm in the best shape and I feel the best ever that I've felt, period. That, yes, while there have been these physical losses of these loved ones, and the reality is that it's going to continue to happen. I mean, that's just part of, that's the reality, Um, I just don't need to make it mean that I lose connection, right?
Mhm.
It, what if it could be more of a deeper connection, maybe something that even tops the connection in the physical realm, right?
Mhm.
So I'm able to pivot, right? I'm able to
Mhm.
pivot. I can muster up the energy for that.
Mhm.
Um,
And from what to what exactly?
from going down this spiral of loss and decline and dreading the future,
Okay.
dreading my life moving forward,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Um,
And
uh,
2.
to eagerness, enthusiasm, looking forward
Okay.
to my life,
Mhm.
uh,
Which in our language is intention, desire.
intention.
Yes.
And that's the other thing. Um, Feeling at ease with intending, because that's where it's been getting a little rocky for me. I noticed that when it comes to planning or intending, right? Let's
Mhm.
just say in this case, planning like specific events or,
Mhm.
trips and whatever, social commitments,
Mhm.
um, it's kind of mirroring overall intention, intending.
Yes.
But what happens is that I'm feeling like hesitant to plan, to intend, right? Well, let's just say for this example, to plan, because I'm like, who knows what could happen before that event? I could die. My husband could die. Like this is This is like what's coming up for me, you know?
Mhm.
Remember, padded room, right? So
Yes.
I'm speaking freely, you know, and I'm aware. I'm aware of that resistance, you know.
And the beliefs that are undergirding all of
Yes.
it, which
And
is
the
critical.
beliefs is, you know, a major one is that I don't feel safe, you know. I'm not feeling safe. Um, so what's been
How
happening
are you
is
defining safe in this sense?
I think for me, it's feeling tied to my having a say, my being a co-creator, you know, um, uh, safe, not feeling safe in terms of feeling blindsided, right? Uh, yeah,
Okay.
something, in this case, what's coming up, like the way that the iteration
Mhm.
is not feeling safe with respect to health right now. I have my intention there. It's a solid intention,
I
you
know.
know, it's a solid intention. I'm having issues accessing, connecting to it. It's a lot of noise in the opposite direction,
Mhm.
you know, fearful thoughts,
Yeah.
you know, and the way, and so basically it's this, you know, I woke up on my birthday, rocky start, because when I woke up, it was flooded with that stuff. I woke up very heavy hearted, and it was like, damn, you know, first birthday without mom here.
Yeah.
Physically here.
Mhm.
And it just kind of like dawned on me. I was like, damn, that was some crazy shit last year. Like, it was just like, you know, like right around the time of my birthday is when she got her official diagnosis.
Yeah.
Um, and I think right now, what's coming up is just all the feelings that I couldn't really access,
Yeah.
really dive into at that time.
Right.
But it was like, you know, one thing for sure, I was really present back then,
Yes.
really present and brave. You know, I rose to the occasion. Um, However, there was a heartache throughout that process, you know,
Sure.
and because at the time, even though it was, you know, hovering, the idea that we're saying could possibly be saying goodbye to my mom, you know, we didn't
Mhm.
go there at first,
Right.
right? Um, so, but there was like this sort of like heartache there, and a lot of stress, you know, a lot of like stress, brand new. I mean, um, back then it came out in the form of panic attacks and
Mhm.
a 6 week rash, you know, that had that happened now, like I would probably been freaking out, but back then I was so like attuned to my mom, you know, and what was going on, that I was like, all right, I got some weird fucking freaky shit going on, but I'm
We'll
okay.
come to that later or some other time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm tending to it, but like bigger fish to fry kind of thing, you know?
Mhm.
And in a way, it was like kind of thank God, because had I not had something really intense to focus on, I probably would have been like, oh my God, I can't deal with bumps. Okay. I'm not. So yeah, I woke up on the birthday with that, and then also with the reality that, oh my gosh, the rest of my birthdays will be without her physical presence. And I'm adjusting to that, I'm still adjusting to that idea. What it means to me was, that well, I said to my husband that I've experienced the idea of like missing someone, but not now. I know what it feels like to miss someone.
What does it feel like?
That I will not have ever again in this physical terrain, in this world, physical world, access to my mom, touching her, speaking to her in the same way,
And how does that feel?
That felt like now I really understand fully what it feels like to miss her.
Okay. Fair enough. I won't keep pushing, but I'm curious if you can access it to know what the feeling is of missing her that you're talking about, but you're answering in beliefs, which is fine, because that's important.
The feeling is like a weight and then a hole in my chest.
Okay. And then you started to answer the question.
Weird thing. It's kind of a weird thing because it's
what
weight,
if we wait. What if we just take the judgment out of that?
Yeah. I didn't mean it with like negative judgment. I'm just saying it's just kind of like a weird feeling because
weird, different, weird, interesting, weird, awful, weird.
Okay. No, different. Okay. Different because it feels like a hole and then it also feels like a weight.
Which means what to you, if anything, yet?
That seems kind of contradictory.
And it's all in the same place where you're feeling it?
Yeah.
And what if it's contradictory? What's the difference between the two feelings?
I guess maybe not so much of a difference. It just feels like
like two aspects of the same
thing.
aspects
of the same of the same misalignment.
Yeah.
Or non-alignment. Mm-hmm. Is it non-alignment? Non-alignment or misalignment? I don't know.
Either one. Okay. I use either one.
Okay. Yeah, it's two aspects. Okay. Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah.
So I let out my cry. I did a lot of tapping, which... Tell
me just a little bit how you did the tapping.
Going from general to specific.
Okay. Letting go generally of angst.
Letting go whatever is making me feel,
good.
Blah, blah, blah. Whatever is making, and then I went into like, like the actual emotions, the whole, like, I want to look forward to life and, not feel scared and da, 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 da. And I went into that more specifically,
Good.
So that sort of like helped ease a bit. And I wanted to cap it off with a Joe Dispenza Healing the Chakras. I noticed something that I can't do his visualization meditations right now, but I can do his healing chakra, balancing chakra meditations right now.
All right.
And that's nice. That I'm like, okay, I'm learning a little bit about where I'm at, you know, and what's helping me.
Yeah,
you
good.
know? So I did that, and then I did a Kundalini yoga in my backyard, topless, in the sun, about 30 minutes, heart chakra, Kundalini yoga. And I felt so much more uplifted. And my husband and I went to the beach. I took the dip. I felt a lot better, even more uplifted, you know, and I was like, all right, you know, this is not a walk in the park, not a walk in the park. However, I managed to feel uplifted, you know, and
Just huge.
Yeah, really, really huge. And I was like, happy, thank you, more, please, you know, magnifying that. I was feeling good. I mean, so much so that like I was in a very like wavy part of the beach, on Venice Beach here, very wavy part of the beach, and very sandy. And I didn't even care. I mean, I think I even had like a clamshell inside of my Normally I'm very high maintenance with going to the beach because I'm like, ew, sand, I can't, you know. And then the waves too. I'm more of an island tropical pond water, okay? Pond. You know, this is a little more stressful, but it felt really refreshing.
Great.
Very refreshing. Even though I got knocked down a little bit, it felt refreshing. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. You know, it felt good. We only did it for about an hour. Because we had some reservations for omakase sushi dinner that my husband had planned about a month ago. God, because I was experiencing a little bit of FOMO bullshit like before my birthday, because I was like, oh, I don't want life to pass me by. Like there was just a lot of noise. It's like a lot of noise, you know. Like a lot of existential questions coming up, you know, and I was like, it's not unreasonable or inappropriate, you know, at this time in my life and what I've experienced, you know, in the past year. So, you know, I came back and from the beach and, you know, got dressed, and my outfit and makeup and everything came out okay. I got some new shoes that I was a little bit nervous about, you know, how I would walk in them, and it turned out to be great, you know, and we had a great dinner. Like I was feeling celebratory and elevated, and I was just like, great, happy, thank you, more, please. Thank you so much. You know, I was able to like turn it around. And it felt really it gave me a lot of satisfaction, you know. So that was great. And I was just like, all right, happy, thank you, more, please. You know, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I love this, you know, pivot into upliftment, you know, from being really heavy hearted and sort of like, yeah, you know, to like, right.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Happy birthday. Thank you. Thanks, Mom. You know, then Wednesday came. And I woke up. So I think I mentioned in the previous sessions that when I came back from New York to LA back in July, that I experienced this sacrum, like hip flexor, pelvic, like the sacral chakra region flare up. That not my first rodeo. This is something that I began to address about 2 years ago. And but it was feeling like it was worse, the flare up, you know, so much so that my right hip was so tight and it felt like a tug of war. like it was like tugging my hip flexors to my sacrum, you know, like it was like tugging, and it was hard for me to even get out of bed.
Hmm.
I got disheartened. Being honest, padded room here, right? I was disheartened.
What's wrong with that?
Um, I don't want to be disheartened.
Fair
Don't
enough.
want to be disheartened. You know, for me, it's a very heavy feeling for me to be disheartened. I'm a heart girl. I'm a heart girl. And for me to feel disheartened, it's very heavy for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot of energy to pivot out of that for me. So, you know, I managed to get out of bed, you know, with this tight, tugging feeling on my right hip. And I was like walking like an old lady, you know what I mean? Like it was just like, I was like, oh my God. And I just started crying because the disheartened, sad feeling mixed with anxious, fearful thoughts about what I'm making that mean.
Good.
Okay. That was a fact. Like I started thinking like this is worse than the initial flare up from 2 years ago. I'm feeling it on my feet. Oh my gosh. What if it's, you know, this or that? Like I just want to feel better. You know, I have some commitments coming up and I can't just be on this like, oh, I wake up and I don't know how I'm gonna feel. I'm gonna feel like shit, or I'm gonna feel like, you know, or it just, you know, I just fucking started bugging out, you know.
Can I jump in here just for a quick second? It won't be a quick second, but right in there, practice-wise, I know you have an intention.
Yeah.
For waking up feeling not what you just said. But the day after your birthday, you woke up the way you woke up, the antithesis of how you want to wake up. So if that's me, and it has been a trillion times, or any
Really?
of us in this practice, well, the idea of, oh my God, this reality I'm in is so completely different than the one that I'm consciously intending for. So we don't drop that we're still consciously intending for the other thing. So I promise you, even as you're moving around and making your way to the bathroom or trying to figure out what you're going to do, at a minimum, and I don't know if you ever do this, you've got a line or two or three from that intention, the way you want it to be, that you can still be ripping through your mind as you're tending to the pain, as you're tending to what am I going to do about the pain? Do you know what I mean? It's just even running it a little bit in the background whenever you can.
Or even sort of like testing it, because I will be honest with you, Steven, I'll whip out some of these lines and these intentions that will address the contrast.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm a little too far away from it that it ends up feeling like more disheartening.
I understand. And there's no need to force anything.
Right.
You've heard me say it a million times.
But try it out.
You're thinking thoughts anyway. And
exactly.
Even if you replaced a third of them or a half of them with this, it's still registering somewhere. It's still almost like, you know, a thread or a lifeline to let's not forget that, yeah, I'll deal with this reality. I'll be very present to what's happening today and I'll take care of what I have to take care of. But I just want to make sure that everyone knows this is not where I plan to be.
I'm not trying to identify with this shit.
Exactly. And what I'm suggesting will help you.
Pilates instructor, when I had a Pilates session, a private Pilates session last week, Wednesday, and I said that to her because she, you know, I came in and I was like, downtrodden, you know. But I was like, I'm not. I actually was listening to a Joe Dispenza thing on chronic pain as I was walking to my Pilates session. And I was like, I'm not going to identify with this shit.
Good. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm not going to identify with this. I'm not going to keep spinning the wheel and speaking this narrative. You know what I mean? I will be present. I'm going to acknowledge, I'm not going to be like, la, 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 you know, like nothing's happening. However, I'm going to put good enough, if not more attention to what I want. Okay.
Thank you.
That's the intention.
Good.
It's just, you know, it takes some effort right now.
Of course it does. That's why I call it a workout. And that's why we repeat it over and over and over again.
And sometimes that energy, I only have at that particular moment, at some of these moments, not all the time, but sometimes I'll just have enough energy to pivot, entertain a little bit of the thought, you know? And in some of these moments, enough energy to pivot, but not maintain it.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Is you don't need a lot of energy to maintain it. And it's not for the gods, and it's not for attraction so much as I think it's really for us at that point too. It just helps keep us a little higher up energetically, and as opposed to getting fully 100% sucked in. And you said right off the bat, like, I am not going to get all the way sucked in, but geez, you know, this really hurts and I got to deal with it. And, and I get it. That's what I mean. But this is somewhere in the background of all of that, in the nooks and crannies, can still be, I wake up every morning with full vitality and it's so fantastic. Just as you're doing everything else.
Right. Or, you know, maybe going a little bit general with that. Fine. I'm in the process.
Whatever
I'm going that way.
So whatever feels best.
Yes.
If any of this creates more anxiety, well, then forget about it and we'll talk about it a different day.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it's like, well, yeah, if I can do this very generally or this or that, and then just feel your way through listening to inspiration.
Yes.
Yeah, that feels a little nice. I'm just going to keep that little thing running in the background.
Exactly. So
this is also
that's been from that moment on to today. It's been a bit of. Now, here's the funny part. You know how I just mentioned that this feeling right here feels like a tug of war, like it's like tugging between my SI joint and the hip. What's going on in my inner world feels like a tug of war too.
Yeah. Well, and if anybody's listening and didn't see you a minute ago going like waving from side to side, back and forth.
Oh, right? Wow.
And that's really, I appreciate what you're noticing about where you are in this process, and that the process itself, you know, in a matter of a minute can contain both really, you know, heart, what did you say? What's the word you used just now?
Uplifting?
No, you were, why can't I think of the word? Heart, not heartbroken.
Heartache.
Nope.
Heavy-hearted.
Heavy-hearted. No, we were just talking about it. And you disheartened.
Disheartened, yeah.
Okay. So now I forget what I was saying. But that's what I mean. So it's like within a minute, you can go from disheartened to something very different. And then you're humming along in that. And then it's like, oh no, I'm back over here. And it's the up and the down, the high and the low, the good day and the bad day.
And I think it's pretty interesting, amazing how that is the feeling that I have in my physical body, right?
Well, it's also that empty, heavy in a way too. I don't want to.
Yes. The whole and the weight.
So here's the good news that I'll just offer up as an observer of somebody in this practice, which is the only thing on this planet that I know anything about. And that is the high, the low, the up and the down, the back and the forth is very common for people who are new to this practice. And it's jarring, and it's just like, oh my God. But what you are describing is that. However, the fact that you can pivot, as you say, and I always change the channel as quickly as you're able to, is evidence that you're basically at that tipping point where it's just about to tip onto the happier, more pleasant side of things, and it will sustain itself much more readily, much more often. That new inner infrastructure, that new default really starting to take hold. The reason it's like back and forth and tug of war is because you've released the old way, but the new way hasn't yet really fully taken hold. And that's why it's like, oh my God, back and forth, da, da, da. But when the time between the up and the down really starts to shrink significantly, that's just, I mean, I think I'm describing physics. That's just evidence that that energy that's been transforming in your system, in your psyche as a human being, or whatever components make that up, is taking hold.
So would this whole process explain why in the last 3 days I've been feeling like I cannot soothe?
Yeah.
It's like I'm fatigued, but also restless.
Yeah.
Does that explain?
It does. And I would say that whatever you're feeling, which is always true, is temporary anyway. It won't always be like that, but then again, so what we're really talking about is the energy of the old and the energy of the new all mixed together in this period of transition. So really the only thing ever to do when that's really where we are, and that's where most of us are in one degree or another. That's the whole point of the work that I do, right? I used to be this and now I'm this. I've transformed. So when we're right there in that transformation part, yeah, that's absolutely, I might have just lost my thread, but that's absolutely makes sense. Because again, it's all, so the only thing to do when it's all happening at the same time.
The blender. Blender?
Yes, the blender, right. So the only thing to do then is focus attention on what's wanted. Okay. That's the time to really double down on it. I think that's probably why I brought in and stopped you earlier, just to remind you, right? To keep that going, especially in the topsy-turvy moments. And so now we've just got a little broader perspective of what we were talking about. And that's definitely it. So dealing with what's today, what do I have to deal with? Oh God, maybe I can just wait a day, or maybe there's something I have to do. Okay, I'm done. I made an appointment. I'm going to. Now the rest of the time, intention, 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 intention. Let it pull you over. Let that side win the tug of war. That's what's happening. It's going to win. It is winning, even though it doesn't feel like it when when the rope is dead center.
Yeah, I mean,
or on the other side.
Like I can access, pivoting at times, and then sometimes it like I can't, like I'm not able to at some certain times, where it actually feels like it's bringing up anxiety, like pressure, right? And so that's when I think I find myself feeling like I can't soothe, right? Like I'm having a hard time.
I understand that.
Although, let me note that tapping, while it may not get it all the way, it does help calm down a bit.
Well, it definitely will. It virtually always will in that kind of moment. But then we have to listen to our own inspiration too. What feels right? Should I keep going? Am I forcing it, or is it okay to just
take a nap?
Take a nap, exactly, and just be like.
Or maybe I just need to acknowledge this is where I'm at right now, temporary.
Yeah, I'm just going to hang here until some energy moves a little bit, right?
Yeah, maybe.
But then, even then, as you're falling asleep for that nap, what are you thinking? Intention, 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 intention. Even if you can't fully align and be, that's not what we're talking about.
Um, so it's been vacillating, right? Blender in the
Mm-hmm.
last week. Um, I've had some, in like, because I've been able to pivot and I also do things that I feel inspired to do to help myself,
Yeah.
like the Kundalini yoga, those chakra healing, Joe Dispenza meditations, even some
Mm-hmm.
of his talks about pivoting, essentially pivoting,
Mm-hmm.
to what you want,
Yeah.
like I'm doing those things, right?
Yes.
And so because I'm doing those things, because I am following my intentions in that manner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have been able to receive some clarity. So there's been some glimmers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this weekend, I realized that one of the most intense symptoms of what I'm experiencing right now
Mm-hmm.
is because of the tension in my body that I was not conscious of. Essentially, my pelvic floor.
From last year, you mean?
Um, I think that I've
Or
been gripping since before
okay.
my mom's experience,
Yeah.
you know? Um, yeah, because I was having a hard time sitting, like where it was just feeling so intense, like this dull pain inside that it almost felt like I was like, is this an organ? I started going a little bit in the I was like, is this an organ? Like, what the hell? And I did a little bit of investigating and I discovered that people that may have, SI joint dysfunction, not only do the hip flexors overwork here, but also you tend to clench grip your pelvic floor. And I'm not a stranger to the pelvic floor therapies. I've learned about this 4 or 5 years ago, but I was always thinking that it had to do with tightening, lifting. And I was like, I have no problems with that. But what I realized, and this was actually like a gift, okay? Like I felt like it was like a birthday gift.
Yeah.
I was able to receive clarity. And it made me feel much more relaxed.
Good.
Um, I did a happy baby. I was inspired to do a happy baby
What is
position.
that? Oh, position.
Yeah, position in yoga, essentially, where like you lie on your back, you put kind of your knees like in this fashion, and you hold
Mm-hmm.
on to them. And um, and I realized then that I was like, oh my God, I've been gripping my pelvic floor all this time. And I think I ended up gripping even more so when everything happened last year going into this
Mm.
year, I don't think it started then.
I get it. Yeah.
This was from before,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I think also reflects some unprocessed stuff in terms of safety, my roaming this universe. That's my intention, securely and freely.
Mm-hmm.
That happened even before that.
Right.
That non-alignment with that intention was even before everything went down with my mom.
Right.
Um, so this gripping, I realized for the first time ever, doing that. This was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
Of course.
And I was like, of course it was. And I actually went there and I did the happy baby. And I was like, I don't know what they mean about like releasing your pelvic floor. Like and then I was like, oh my God. I released the pelvic floor and instantly felt better.
Well,
Instantly felt better. And it was so soothing. because I was like, oh, I was like, this is, I don't, it can't be organ because I don't have any red flags, you know, that it is an organ type of thing, you know, but it's a deep internal pressure and dull kind of pain. But it felt, I was like, I was kind of at a loss, right? Until I was able to receive, you know, the inspiration.
Yeah.
I just did the happy baby. I mean, I got other
But
exercises.
like you said earlier, even if it didn't do the whole thing, you do some tapping, you get yourself to a place of more neutral. And
Yes.
because when you describe all the noise that you're talking about, you cannot hear inspiration. You just can't.
No, you are stuck in this impending doom, you know, scenario, you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm not, this is not my first rodeo with this shit, you know? So I was like, yes, happy, thank you, more, please. Oh my God. I even like sent over the notes to like my husband at like third. And I was like, I think this is what's going on. Oh my God. Like, this is like the answer to my prayers here. So that felt, I totally magnified that because I've seen a lot of experts and specialists about what's going on here. And finally, I got an answer and I was like, this is it. Like, I know this is part of this, you know what I mean? And then I just kind of went in and was like, oh, okay, if this, you know, when I'm on my period, and it was a lot of answers, a lot of clarity. And fantastic. I felt so soothed that even when I went to my Pilates sessions on Monday and today, and I explained that pelvic floor tension and I was able to finally do these exercises, these movements where I just went into the movement. I wasn't like having to go through a wall of resistance in order to do the movement. Like, it made the exercising a lot harder, you know, a lot harder. And so I was like, look, glimmers, happy, thank you, more, please. Beautiful, you know. And then that was Saturday, Sunday, right? 2:00 in the morning. And I was like, yes, woohoo, you know. Monday came in and I, you know, still feeling the thing, but little, you know, tightness in there. But now I was like having lunch with my husband. I'm like, I'm clenching. Okay, releasing, clenching. like an awareness, right? And it was like connecting the dots, you know, and I was able to receive that because of the neutral, getting to you know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Able to receive that. And so I was like, happy, thank you, more, please. You know, so this is all part of the like back and forth, because last night I was like starting to feel like, okay, you know, now that I have this bit of information, you know, clarity here, like, yeah, I'm still feeling the thing, but I feel a little bit more encouraged, you know. My exercises, I don't feel like all crunchy and I'm having to push through the crunching. Like, it feels more fluid. There's a flow, which is part of my intention, flow in the body. Okay. And I was like, yes. And then last night, I started feeling like another sensation, you know, that I was like, wait, but I'm doing my happy babies and I'm doing this and stuff. And then I got a little bit disheartened again. But then I was like, you know what? I did this other exercise on the mat. And even though I was like, okay, I need to like get up and start heading to bed. No, this actually feels really good for me right now. Like, this is like, so I'm just going to stay here. I'm just going to lie here on my side with my leg up because it's feeling really good for me right now. It's feeling like it's balancing me out. And I'm just going to follow that, you know, even though I'm technically supposed to be getting up and not in bed. It's just like, no, like, this feels really good right now. So I'm just going to do that. And, you know, today, I'm a bit in the, you know, it was rocky today. It was a bit rocky today. I just, doing the Kundalini yoga and the Joe Dispenza meditation, helpful, but I was feeling like from my heart down, actually
Mm-hmm.
my throat down, like it's like pulling me down. That's the feeling that I have. And I get disheartened by that, right? Like I
So
get
what's the belief under disheartened?
I get disheartened and scared. Disheartened because I'm like, I want to feel good. I'm not feeling that way. And I don't know how long this is going to be, you know?
Don't
That,
make me do it.
I know, I get it. I know, but padded room. I'm telling you what this is disheartening, why I get disheartened.
So is it back to being blindsided, fear of being blindsided, fear of
Fear, there's this,
not having agency, not creating your own reality?
yeah.
Right. So this is why there's what happens and there's what we make it mean, as
Oh,
Delilah
this
well
is
knows.
totally,
She's doing
totally
that.
a lot of that gunk
Right.
coming
So
up.
that's where right off the bat, it'd be like, so even though I really am afraid I'm going to be blindsided, I'm afraid
Yep.
I'm not getting anywhere, that's kind of what you're doing, right? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, do you know
Oh,
what
one last
okay.
thing on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
I not only get, it's a mix of disheartened and fearful,
It's all
anxious.
kind of the same thing.
Oh, okay. Because when I think about, look, I'm doing things to address this. Okay.
Yes, yes.
I'm totally
You're
doing
giving
things.
me not much to do because you're already doing it.
But not even just what I'm doing in terms of like my spiritual growth, but also what I'm doing to address like the physical nature. I am doing a lot,
Yes.
for it. But there are certain things that I am scared to do because it seems like rife with grief and anxiety, such as
right
getting
there,
imaging,
but right there,
right?
hmm?
Like getting like the more conventional stuff, like imaging, to see what's going on there. Like I have some stuff with that.
Beliefs about that?
Yeah, because I'm like,
about that?
yeah, because of the last thing was, what my mom experienced when she had that done. And, it just brings up grief and fear.
Well, yeah. So because you're believing I'm not safe, I'm not getting anywhere, my intentions, yeah.
I'm not safe, I'm not blindsided. My intentions, like how much do they matter?
Yeah.
Doubts, little doubts. So again, yes, vacillating, right?
I don't know if this is even the right term, but do you know what a racket wrench is? Is that the right term? Ratchet wrench. So a ratchet wrench is, there's a bolt that you're tightening the bolt, right? So there's the kind of wrench, the tool, it's just solid and straight and you tighten it and then you pull back, you rejigger the end of it onto the bolt and you do it again and you take it off. A ratchet wrench, you don't have to do all that. You keep going tight and then you back up and go tight. And then you back up and you go tight and then it's finished, right? So this process of you're tightening it all the time. It's getting tighter all the time, except when you go back to get more, energy, material, whatever, to be able to force that thing tighter. So it sounds to me that you are perhaps believing that going backwards in this sense, the way this tool works, I wish I could explain it better, is negative or bad or wrong or making you go backwards. It's not. It's just charging up more energy to be able to make that thing tighter. So in the whole process, the bolt is getting tighter every step of the way, even though half the time it looks like the tool is doing the opposite thing. And that's another way of looking at this piece where we're talking about, where you really are so experiencing the highs and lows, the ups and downs so rapidly after one another. Just again, evidence that you're there because it's just getting tighter. So again, when it's ramping up to do that next thing, that doesn't mean nobody's like freaking out on the job site saying, oh my God, we're going backwards. The whole wheels are all falling off. No, we're just tightening the bolt. It just, if you're looking at it, it can look like that. If you're experiencing it, it can feel like going backwards. And that's where, so this is what I was getting at earlier when I'm like, at the minimum in the background, can you still keep some of that intention running? Like, I think I've shared with you, mine is one of my shortcuts for my own physical health intention is I'm stronger and healthier than I've ever been. Like, that's what I want to be able to say truthfully every day.
Yes.
Is that how I have felt truthfully every single day? No. Is that how I felt when I re-injured my knee a little bit and it really hurt? No. But is that what I was thinking and saying all the time? Yeah. My knee is killing me. I can't believe I just did that. I'm like, I'm stronger and healthier than I've ever been. I'm stronger and healthier than I've ever been. It's running somewhere in there. It's familiar to me. I'm connected to that idea. And even though I have to deal with the emergency in my knee at the moment, I'm not letting go of my intention. I'm not getting, it might feel like I'm going backwards, but I'm really not, because I choose to believe I'm not.
Yes.
I choose to believe that I can't not have agency.
Right.
I choose to believe that because the timing's not up to me, and the fact that I want it today and it doesn't seem like it's going to come anywhere near today, not my business. Okay, I'll stop moaning and groaning about that. And that's, this is nitty gritty. So all I want to do with you right now is encourage you, keep going. You're doing everything right. And falling into a little bit of a trap of, is this all worth it? Am I doing this? Is it really going to make a difference? Do I make a difference? Do I have agency? Do I create my own reality? Look what happened to my mom. Look what happened over here. Look at that. Look what's going on in my thing. Again, this is choices every second, every minute, every hour of every day, to choose and re-choose and re-choose and re-choose and re-choose and re-choose where to focus your attention, especially in this moment where it's like you don't want to give up right before all the glory comes.
And I will tell you, giving up is not really in my system.
So right? It's a matter of what meaning we're making of these highs, lows, ups, downs, back and forth. Somebody else might just say, well, this is the way it is. Okay, well, keep going and just keep doing it.
Right.
You're not in that space today.
No, I'm not.
And that would
I'm also
soul work wise, that would be, the next place to really focus in on, I would say. I just talked over you, but I wanted to get that out.
What place to focus in on? To
really focus in on the meaning you're making of what it seems like you're not really going.
I'm very aware of the meanings.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the only.
Totally aware.
That's
totally like, I was like, oh, it's bringing up, do I have a say? I don't feel safe. Like, I'm not roaming this universe securely and freely, because at any given moment I could be blindsided, the universe could fuck up my program. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's these, beliefs that can get a little activated, but I'm aware of them and really muster up the energy to at least pivot. But I will say this, and I was saying this with my husband, like, even though there's a lot of like muck that could be happening on the surface, a lot of noise, that can sometimes feel like overwhelming the my core, you know. In my core, really, like fundamentally, I do believe we have agency.
I know you do.
You know, I say this to myself too, because I'm like, you have it there. It's just sometimes you're a little disconnected from it. Sometimes the noise, the momentum is in another way, but it like clouds that. But you know, fundamentally, like I'm not someone that's just like random, you know, like who knows what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, I don't share that. I do feel like we are co-creators. I do feel like we do have a say fundamentally, although, you know, there's some noise.
So yeah, so this is your work to sort out those beliefs and get rid of the doubt and the fear and the worry and replace with the new beliefs that serve you far better.
Yeah, and I
I
guess
have agency. Nobody can fuck with my program.
yeah. Not even
I can't not manifest what I'm intending.
Right. This is feeling like a little pressure though right now. But it's there. It's there. Like it's there.
This is what I mean. This is what I'm pointing out. This is in this conversation tonight as a facilitator. This is the only piece where it looks like there's really something, or this is what looks to me as the place to focus on next. Just this gap between, if I'm saying what you want to be able to say and believe, and it's feeling like pressure, then that's little information for you about where you are exactly in this moment. I mean, I'm not here to tell you what to believe or what to want, but I'm pretty sure that's what you want. Yeah.
No, fundamentally, I know, I believe and I desire, right?
Yes.
Fundamentally. It's just that there's these sometimes, and what is this, Steven? Like sometimes I feel like physically like I'm being pulled down, you know, so much so that even before we came on this series, you know, the session tonight, it's like I was like, I don't know if I could like sit up. Like I just feel like I want to go like this. What is that?
Not sure.
It just feels like I'm being pulled down. I mean, one of the people on my care team mentioned, you know, she's very much on the chakras and stuff. And she's like, you know, if you're feeling like because a part of like Kundalini yoga is to look at third eye, right? Close your eyes and kind of have your eyes on the third eye. And I have such a hard time maintaining it at the third eye. I keep going down, right? And for me, it says something. It's giving me some information. And so one of the practitioners that I work with was like that, you know, this is like egoic kind of stuff right there, you know? And so it's like you're being weighed down by the material world.
Well, those are what those beliefs are. That's where they resonate for sure.
So maybe that's why there's that feeling, because there's a lot of that noise that's.
Well, and there's perhaps another way to think of this too. And this, I'm being extremely general here. It's not my area of expertise, but there is something, I know you're familiar with chakras and what's going on where. So for us, as we endeavor to live more consciously, more 5D and less 3D, more heart, less head, all of this.
More heart, less head.
Yes. So where is it in the body? That demarcation is between the third and the fourth chakra. So from the fourth up, we're living our light-filled conscious lives. When we're down below, it's the old stuff. It's all those old belief systems, all the old ways of doing things, all that tribal energy, you know? And so I know you're physically sensitive in terms of noticing energy in your body. Now it's over here, now it's down here. And that, you know, some people are very much like that and some people are not. All to say. So if you just start thinking, so if you start thinking and feeling, I mean, this is all about intention anyway, because the intentions are from the heart. And as we cultivate our intentions, we're just, more and more up here. So it just might be. And the fact that in the Kundalini, it's hard for you to be here and you keep wanting to go down, I'd say then keep doing the Kundalini, because that seems to be something that'll obviously help bring this energy up.
When I do those Joe Dispenza meditations on the chakras, I could feel the energy moving, right? Like I could feel where the density moves.
Yes. And so when you think of, the hole and the emptiness and the heaviness, it's like, oh, there's a hole in my heart and I'm feeling the heaviness of everything that's operating from down here. I don't know, energetically, it all seems to, it's just another way to view it. You know what I mean? So what would be the antidote to feeling like my body just wants to go down? Spend more and more time doing what we're doing anyway, which is the practice, which is to live in intention and lift up and be full of gratitude all the time and be present. And that's where there's not as much, nearly as much static up here in, from here up. Just another way. And again, for somebody who's physically oriented, to play around with it.
Yeah, that's actually makes a lot of sense to me, that whole thing about the heaviness and feeling the hole. Now, now it makes more sense to me why I'm feeling those things at the same time, even though it seems like contradictory.
Well, because again, so before I was saying, that the time between feeling the low and getting to the high is reducing, right? And so there's more and more going on at the same time, is almost like it's all happening vertically. And then the same thing here, it's like that that you're moving from lower third chakras to uppers, basically. That's what's happening as we all are.
It's like connection with the divine.
So again, the tug of war, you could see the line being between the third and fourth chakras.
I actually feel
instead of going this way, that it's.
Oh yeah.
It's like just another way to think about what we've been talking about all night.
It feels like when I'm trying to ascend, it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like going through
That's what I'm saying, because it's not a new default yet, but it's becoming that. So keep going.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like, I feel like the things that I'm doing are helping me.
They are.
They're helping me cultivate, a new inner infrastructure.
Yes.
As we say in spiritual workout.
Yeah.
I do feel like they're helping me with this thing. It's just, I guess, sometimes when, like today, like right now, for example, that heaviness in the middle, I don't feel the hole. I feel more the heaviness here, right? I have to make sure that I don't let it drag me down.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with it showing up, you being in it for a bit and whatever. It's just, it doesn't need to live in you forever. It's like, it needs to be acknowledged. And if you want something else, you know how to do it. It's what you've been doing.
Yeah. And as always, I cry and it's great.
Good.
It's like sometimes, like today I was crying.
It's one of the best ways to release anyway. So
today I was crying all over the place because I was just like, oh my God, like this was just like a lot, and I was like, I just got to cry.
Good.
I'm just going to cry.
Sometimes that's the treatment.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to cry because I'm just like, this is a lot of energy and, blender stuff that I'm just like, let me just cry, and so I just had, there was like this scene in my right now where like right before I came onto this session and I was doing like some poses and exercises for parasympathetic, to really boost the parasympathetic part of my nervous system. And I finished it, like I did like a child's pose, and then I just sat down on the mat, and I was like, my legs like splayed out, and I was like, and I started laughing a little bit because I was like, this is like I look like a little girl, just kind of like crying there with like her legs splayed out on the mat, like, But then I was like, okay.
Well, I'm smiling because I don't have any of the judgments that you have about that.
I know. I was actually laughing about it because I was thinking of the picture of like, my kind of like we're like with my legs splayed out,
like a baby.
And then I was just like crying there, and then I was just like, oh my God, this is funny, like the picture, like I was like picturing myself if I were to see myself, But then I was just like, I'm gonna cry. Because that's what I need to do right now. And,
exactly.
Like if that's what it's going to be, like some crying here and there, like, oh, well.
It can only help at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't. Release.
Yeah, it does. For me, it's a release, and it's not.
There's even a whole chemical thing that I can't speak about because I don't know enough about it. That just the salt in our tears and the spiritual nature of all that. And I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know much about
it. No, it's
beyond being able to.
I mean, I'm a crier. Like I'm a crier. So, I'm like, and I have no problems like crying because I literally will cry for like a little bit, like, and I'm like, okay. Like, all right. And then it's like, okay.
So have we hit the notes you wanted to hit tonight?
Yeah, we did. We did. The main one that I really liked was that I'm cultivating this new inner infrastructure.
Yeah, and it's
yeah,
the old one
process.
The old one has been shaken loose.
It's shaken loose,
crumbling, and it's not in place anymore. And the new one is coming online, and you're just kind of in between. So keep going.
Keep going. Yeah. And that's a great perspective for me right now, because I think I was making it mean like, oh my God, like it was just feeling overwhelming. Right. And, it was feeling overwhelming, but this shift in perspective as to what's actually happening. It's not that I'm like flailing or, going back or whatever.
The experience can be of that.
Yeah. But just big picture wise, I'm in the process of cultivating a new inner infrastructure, and frankly, like, this is all kind of part of the intention about how I wanted to come out of this experience.
Yes.
Knowing that, these safety about roaming the universe securely and freely happened like way before this happened with my mom. But I think that this experience with my mom is what's allowing me to align with that intention.
Well, and that's what I wanted to end on, is just a little, we started with a nod to your mom and Duder and all the others over there. And, you might just want to acknowledge what we said, I think, on day one, intention-wise, that you are actually using this experience as a vehicle for your own growth and development. And to your point, and this is very common, of course it would happen this way, like some of what Delilah has been talking about tonight, as she just said, it predated anything ever happening with her mom. And the fact that she's in it with her mom now, and it's kicking up some of the stuff. Okay, fine. That's just how life is going to work for all of us. We're not going to avoid the things that we came here to experience, and we're not going to avoid the things that we came here to learn from, and all of those things. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the last thing I want to say, which is next time, I think it would be a good idea to revisit the intention from when we started back
Yeah.
in January, and
Yeah.
just take measure and see, where are we? Does any of that need some fine tuning? How much, all of that. So let's make a note to do that next time.
Yeah. I think it's a good time to that, because I was thinking about that too.
Okay.
I was like,
Maybe
oh,
that's just
this is feeling like this experience with my mom is bringing up stuff that I need to let go of. This whole feeling of like being scared of being blindsided, not trusting God, universe, life, going for, being all in the head, not in my heart, like connection with the divine, because I really believe that having that connection is what generates that feeling of roaming the universe securely and freely. You know what I mean? That I feel like that is what is going to come out of this experience, what's coming out of this experience. Good. So thank you, Steven.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. And, I am now knowing, I'm seeing it through this, what I'm experiencing right now in terms of this tug-of-war kind of thing, and internally is, and also physically, is just my letting go of the old and cultivating the new.
Welcome to spiritual workout.
Is it growing pains then? What I'm experiencing?
I don't.
It's like growing pains.
I just think it's a natural part of the process. What do we do in the beginning? How many times do you see people come in? They're tapping on some old beliefs, and then they say, "Am I going to be tapping for 3 hours every day for the rest of my life?" And we say no, because at some point that old stuff has shaken loose, has started to crumble, all of that. And so then what happens next? It's like, oh, well, now the newer stuff is easier to connect with. It's easier to think about. It's easier, and that's right where you are. It's like, yeah, that's all true, but we're not all the way there yet. The new hasn't fully taken hold yet. So that's okay. So of course, in this in-between time, it's erratic. It's erratic.
Erratic, exactly. And it being erratic at the moment is what can make me feel or generate this feeling of like, I can't soothe.
That's why it matters. So you don't want to keep carrying around, I can't soothe. So even though I'm believing right now I can't soothe, I'm choosing to remind myself that that's really not true, and not lock into, that's part of navigating through the erratic energy.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a shift in perspective is blessing.
Well, I think, that's the only thing I can ever promise anybody coming into spiritual workout. Yeah. If you pay some bit of attention for a little bit of time, at a minimum, you will receive or experience some different perspectives. What anyone does with that is what anyone does with that. But I appreciate hearing that, because that's...
Well, it makes me feel a little more, this perspective makes me feel a little more empowered.
Good.
Versus, this idea that like, the way I was thinking about it was as if I didn't have agency.
Exactly. And that belief will keep somebody down, and will be painful, and will hurt, and will be heavy.
What I think is adding to the being pulled down, kind of thing.
Right.
Last question.
Yes.
Last question. Do you think that, how we talk about the calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that some of this density could also be what's been stored in the body from
Yeah.
last year.
That you were talking about, or, you know, that you're focused on your mom. So this is, I see it over and over and over again, that the first year after, you know, it's, especially if somebody's been in caregiving, that's really for anybody who's been in caregiving, whether it's for a little while, a long while, whatever, that caregiving implies energy directed toward others, not tending to ourselves the way we might normally. So the fact that we postpone processing some of that, consciously or otherwise, it's never too late to do it. And you're doing it now, and you'll continue to do it, which means in 5 years, and 10 years, and 25 years, you won't have unprocessed material from when your mom died. When somebody talks to you about their experience, you'll be able to be present to them and for them, because you won't, they're not going to be able to push buttons that,
and I don't have to be like, ah, la, 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 la.
Right. You don't have to avoid it. You'll probably want to,
yeah,
you know, hold some space for that. And you can only do that, you, me, or any of us, when we've processed through our own stuff. So whether you did it the day it happened or the year after it happened doesn't ultimately matter. What matters is doing it, and you are. So.
Okay.
So there.
Yeah. No, for sure, because the goodbye stuff is that's processing right now. It's like the whole saying goodbye to my mom, you know, in this reality. Yeah, that stuff has been coming up.
Well, let's talk about that next time, and then let's also, you know, just check in with the intentions from the beginning and see.
Yes. Yeah. Pull that out.
All right.
Thank you, Steven.
You're welcome.
Until the next time, same old. When we feel like it's needed, we're going to do some applying, aligning, living, applying, aligning, living. You know, look at what these last 2 weeks, you know.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Steven.
Quite welcome.
And, you know, for everyone who joined us, like I said, we will do another live stream as needed. We're not doing them every week like before. Yeah, this process isn't linear.
No, it's not.
It's not linear, but it's ascending.
Yes, it is. All right.
I like that. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Steven.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Till next time.
Till next time.